5. Okay, roots of real numbers. Let's go real quick and explain what is a root. What's a root? It's kind of like an answer. A root is an answer. Okay, a real number. Taylor. Real number, the set of real numbers. We abbreviate all real numbers. Tyson, let's go. All real numbers. A real number is any number in the set of all real numbers. So let's maybe pause this and go. Okay, look. 5 squared is 25. 5 is the square root. Everybody circle root. Root, that's an answer. That's a solution. So 5 is the square root of 25, or square root of 25 is 5. But let's do 5 cubed. That's 5 times 5 times 5. That's 125. So 5 is what kind of a root? It's a cube root of 125. Or the cube root of 125 is 5. Let's write this in. See if you can squeeze it in. Right, since 5 to the 4th. So we got 5 to the 2nd, 5 to the 3rd. What's 5 to the 4th? 625. So since 5 to the 4th is 625, 5 is a, what kind of a root? I'm just going to write 4th root. Let's write 4th root of 625. Or, what is this? 4? 625 equals 5. So, let's do this. What about 5? 5 to the n equals x. So here we go. It's going to be, let's write since out here. Since 5 to the n equals x, comma, 5 is a what? Is an n, let's put nth, nth, nth root of x. So what goes underneath the radical? X, n, and your answer is going to be 5. Okay, now you need to understand what this vocabulary word is right here. What is an inverse operation? Backwards. That's doing it backwards. So look at this right here. If you have got, if you've got this, x plus 4 equals 8. Okay, Ashley, x plus, what number plus 4 is 8? How did you get x is 4? You work backwards. You minus 4, you minus 4. Okay, what is the inverse operation of plus? Minus. So look at this, Jabri. What is the inverse operation of square? What's the opposite of a square? What's 5 squared? 25. So go backwards. What is the square root of 25? That's 5. So the inverse of a square is a square root. What's the inverse of a cube? A cube root. What's the opposite of a 4th power? 4th root. Okay, read this page. You guys read this page on your own. We're going to call this, that's a radical. That's a radical, because that's the name of it. Every radical has an index. That's the square root. If there's nothing, it's the square root. Cube root, 4th root, 5th root. And then what's underneath is the radicand. This principal root is the positive. Write it in. This is the positive root. If there's, yeah. So like this. 81. Radical, if there's nothing there, you read it, the square root of 81, which is 9. or plus or minus 9. Look, how come the square root of 81 has 2 roots? Because a negative times negative is positive. 9 times 9 equals 81, but so does the negative 9 times the negative 9. That's also 81. So there is 2 roots, but we deal with mostly the principal root. What is the principal root? The positive root. Okay, Ashley, have you seen this before? That means plus or minus. So write it out. Plus or minus. Good. Means positive or negative. Now these bottom two, let's start wrapping our minds around these bottom two. Okay, there's 2 roots because a negative times negative is a positive. What about this though? What if I do this? What is negative 3 times a negative 3 times a negative 3? What's negative times negative times negative? Okay, it's negative 27. What's a 3 times a 3 times a 3? It's a positive 27. So what happens if you times them an odd number of times? So let's do the inverse. Let's do a cube root. What if I'm doing the cube root of 27? How many answers are there? How many answers are there? How many roots? There can only be one, and it has to be, because there's no way I can do a negative times a negative times a negative and get a positive. What about this though? What's the cube root of a negative 27? Has to be a negative 3. What about this? What is the square root of a negative 16? 4 or negative 4? 4 times 4 equals not 16. Negative 16. Negative 4 times negative 4 equals not negative 16. So what's the square root of a negative? It doesn't have one. Your answer is not in the set of real numbers. No real answer. No real answer. Look at this right here. What about this guy? What is the 4th root of a negative 64? How come there is no answer? This is an even number. That means you can have something times something 4 times. How can you times something an even number of times and get a negative answer? You can't. What's the pattern? Genius. Let's fill this in. This, what you just explained, is this table. Here we go. Let's fill this table in. Okay, how many roots there's going to be if your index is even? So let's write an example. So n is my index, b is the radicand. So let's write 4th root of 16. Let's write 4th root of 16. And then let's do an odd example. So let's do cubed root of 27. Okay, now b is what's underneath. b is your radicand. So if b is positive, now let's do one if b is negative. Let's do 4th root of negative 16. And let's do cubed root of negative 27. So I have an even index and I have an odd index. And then I've got a positive radicand and a negative radicand. Okay, what is the, how many roots are there going to be to this? What's the 4th root of 16? It's plus or minus 2. So there's always, anytime it's even, there's going to be 2 answers. One positive root and one negative. What about this? What if it's cubed? So what if it's odd? Anytime your index is odd, how many roots will there be? There is only going to be one positive root. Okay, what about this guy over here? What if your index is even, but your radicand is negative? It's impossible. There is no real answer. No, there is a solution, but it does not come from the set of real numbers. The solution comes from another set of numbers. There's another set of numbers. Complex numbers. Imaginary numbers. We'll talk about those probably on Monday. Now, Ashley, if your index is odd and your radicand is negative, how many roots is there going to be? What is your root going to be, positive or negative? So you're going to have one negative root. Is it going to be positive or negative 5x squared? Plus or minus? Yes. Yes. Let's just skip down and do this guy. Okay, what's the fifth root of 32x to the 15th y to the 20th? So it's going to be 2. But now let's do your variables. What is the fifth root of x to the 15th? No. X to the third. Why third? Huh? 3 times 5 is 15. What is it going to be? What is the fifth root of y to the 20th? Y to the 4th. Tanner, you got that? The variables are trickier. You cannot do them with the calculator. This is a quotient. Look at this guy right here. What's the negative square root of quantity y squared plus 2 to the 8th? It's going to be negative. That's the square, right? 2 times what is 8? So it's going to be y squared plus 2 to the 4.